Well, it's that time of year. It's Christmas, and it's time to take account of what Mallorca Claus has brought us over the border this year. Secretary of State Alejandro Mayorkas. Right there. Joining us, old friend of the show, friend of mine, Vice President of the National Border Patrol Council, Chris Cabrera. What's going on, brother?
No, how's it going? It's same old down here. Just really busy. A lot of people coming through and heading up to your neighborhood.
All right, now listen, man. You said you're busy, slammed, and you're heading this way. Go ahead, elaborate.
Yeah, I think our numbers last October, sorry, not October, October numbers, which is the beginning of the fiscal year for us, were just over 200,000. Um, Past month, November was around 190,000. Now, you take those numbers versus any one month in the previous administration, we were looking at 20, 30,000 per month. So those numbers are up extremely high. Not to mention, I think 85, 87% of the people we do catch are being released into the country.
Shit. Like that that's true. And that's just who you're catching. The Border Patrol, for people that don't know, catch the people in the bush, right?
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
customs
we're not on the bridge. We're between the bridges.
and then customs takes care of the people that come through the actual port of entry, right? Right
Yes.
there saying, I'm claiming asylum. And then Border Patrol and customs will quite often turn detainees over to ICE, immigrations and customs, and then they
Yes.
will let people go. So when you're talking about 200,000, that's just for beating the brush. It's more
Yeah.
like 250, 260,000, right?
Well, that's the people, that we're encountering that Border Patrol is letting go. It's about 200,000, and then 50, 60,000 probably that Customs is letting go. And then the people we're not even catching because we're too busy dealing with these folks that are turning themselves in huge numbers.
Yeah, like what percentage of you guys, Border Patrol, are actually patrolling the border, and what percentage of you are processing, making sandwiches, driving people to doctor's appointments?
Hmm.
What percent?
At the beginning of our shift, we start off with about 50% of our manpower in the field. The other 50% is, hospital watch or dealing with people that, processing or that kind of stuff. But as the day goes on, that number a lot of times gets down to as little as 20% that's actually out in the field. The rest are inside.
So that's why so many people, like, you just not even, they're called the gotaways. Like, they're
Yeah.
out there, but you don't have anything to get
Yeah,
them.
and if people can turn themselves in and get away, they turn themselves in and they know we're going to release them. The ones that are running have a reason to run. They're running because they know that if they turn themselves in, they have a criminal record or they have something that's not going to allow them to get released. So there's a reason they're running.
And you're saying basically it's just catch them and release them and give them,
Hmm.
what do you give them? Like a ticket to appear in court sometime? A phone?
Yeah, we give them a phone, so we can keep track of them, even though I mean, they end up throwing that damn thing away. Or we give them an ankle monitor, which gets cut off right after they pass the checkpoint. They'll give them a packet of documents that says you have a court date in such and such city at such and such time, such and such year, and they show up for the first few hearings, and then once it's getting towards the end of that process, and they know that final decision is going to be made, that's when they stop showing up.
And
Christ.
so what happens to them? I mean, is anybody still
Great,
watching or
great question.
monitoring, or they just kind of blend into?
Yeah, they just blend into the sanctuary city that they went to. Usually, they're all going to go to a sanctuary city, knowing that nobody's going to harass them up there, and there's no way to track them. I mean, they give us an address, and we can check to make sure it's a valid address, but we can't check to make sure that that's where they're actually going. And they just disappear into the country. We never see them again.
Sounds a little haphazard to me, kind of like it's
Hmm.
all over the place.
Yeah,
Well,
if the federal government was a for-profit agency, we would have been bankrupt years ago. There's
we're
no
bankrupt.
accountability on
We're
this
blank.
level.
We're
It's just
bankrupt
it's
now.
just it's just it's terrible mismanagement.
let me give people some numbers since Biden took the oath, since he was sworn in. This is from the federal government itself, okay? 3.5 million people, 3.5 million people were let in. 6 million were apprehended. 3.5 million were let in. About right, Chris?
Yeah, that's about right.
Okay. Another 1,700,000 people, at least that we know of, 1,700,000 people just got away. Like Chris was saying, we don't have the manpower to chase them down. Correct, Chris?
That's correct.
There's also an estimate. We won't go into it, but you estimate those that got in that you didn't see. That's another little hidden couple 100,000 people. Okay.
Well, and you know, another one that you're not going to find on there is now they're paroling people into the country for asylum purposes. And the way the parole system is designed is if you're a witness to a crime or a victim of a crime, or say you just live in, say, Mexico or wherever, and your grandma is sick in the United States, they'll let you into the country for a few days. Under the parole system, you're there for 3 months, 6 months, 3 days, and then you go back home. And it's usually for a victim of a crime or a witness to a crime. However, people are making their appointments on that CBP-1 app, and they're paroling them into the country for asylum purposes. So in a sense, those are also entries that people are getting released into the country, but they're not counted towards the final number.
Interesting you said that. We'll go to that bullshit app in a second because it's bullshit. And look, my liberal friends that say I've lurched to the right, you don't know shit. Me, Chris knows, and I know a little bit, and this is the truth. We'll get into the horrific stories if you need them about, sex trafficking and abuse and all that, but almost a million, about 850,000 people, not this past year, but the year before, 900,000, almost a million people came on a visa and never left. Right, Chris?
Yep.
Okay, that doesn't include 2021. That doesn't include 2023. That's just 2022. Okay. Then Chris is talking about the Border Patrol app that Biden said, we don't need, we don't want to get the cartels involved. Just go on the app. Remember, I went on there with me and my dog, tried to get permission to come in. 250,000 people came over by that app. Another 250,000 people used the app and flew in directly from their home country. That we allowed you to fly into St. Louis and go asylum, like it was you understand what I'm saying? So and they come from 100 different countries. We're giving asylum to Mexicans, which we don't recognize Mexico as being a torture government. Right. We're letting people in from France. I don't know how France is a third world, why you would need asylum. We're letting them in from Russia, Kazakhstan, Senegal. Keep going, Chris. China.
Well, yeah, we're letting them in from everywhere, from Syria to Venezuela to Honduras to Ecuador to Nicaragua. But
Iran.
I think the interesting part is the asylum process is very narrow in scope. It's for political issues, for religious issues, but people are claiming that they're coming to work or that they live in a rough neighborhood. Those aren't asylum issues.
They didn't used
they're
to
an
be.
abused spouse. That's not an asylum issue. LGBTQ, and so they get asylum, but that's not an asylum issue. Yet we're allowing them to stay, even though they don't qualify by their own admission. They don't qualify, and we're still allowing them to stay.
You know what I hear a lot? Charlie LeDuff newsman. I thought you were dead. I'm not dead. I'm doing the news, the real news, right here, the No BS News Hour. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook, Odyssey, or download it wherever you get your podcasts. Power the people.